She walked into the bank she built from the ground up, and they called her a security threat. They didn't recognize her as the CEO, but 5 minutes later, the entire branch was being audited. This isn't just a story about power, it's about what happens when you judge the wrong woman by her skin, not her status. You're not ready for how this ends. It was just another Tuesday at the Monarch National Bank's downtown Chicago branch. Phones rang, keys clacked, and the scent of fresh coffee floated through the air. Business as usual until the front door opened and in walked a woman who would change everything. She wasn't flashy, no bodyguards, no assistant trailing behind. Just a calm, confident black woman in a perfectly tailored navy blue suit, heels clicking sharply across the polished floor, and a leather briefcase in her hand. Her name? Dr. Alicia Morgan. What nobody knew, what nobody even thought to ask was that she wasn't just some random visitor. She was the CEO of the entire Monarch banking empire. Alicia had made it a habit to visit branches unannounced. She believed the best way to lead was by staying connected to the ground level. She wanted to see how her employees worked, how clients were treated, and how her brand truly functioned without warning. It wasn't about catching anyone in the act, it was about staying human in leadership. But this time, something felt different. As she moved past the reception area, eyes followed her with suspicion, not recognition. A teller leaned toward the branch manager and whispered, pointing in her direction. Within minutes, a security guard was already approaching. "Can I help you, ma'am?" he asked with a tight smile. Before she could even respond, the manager stood up, arms crossed, and asked, "Are you here for a meeting? Do you have an appointment?" Alicia paused, slightly stunned not by their words but by the lack of acknowledgement. No one saw her, no one recognized her, and what happened next would shake the entire company to its core. Alicia offered a calm smile and reached into her briefcase, pulling out her company ID badge with a golden monarch seal. She handed it to the manager without a word. He barely glanced at it. "You could have printed this anywhere," he scoffed. "We've had issues before with people pretending to be someone they're not. For security reasons, I'm going to have to ask you to wait outside." The words hit her like ice. Pretending? This man didn't just doubt her identity, he erased her existence in the blink of an eye. The security guard stepped closer as if she were a threat. "I'm not here to cause trouble," she said softly but firmly. "I'm here to conduct an internal review of this branch." The manager narrowed his eyes. "And who sent you exactly?" "I did," she replied. "I'm the CEO." The room fell into a tense silence. A young intern at the back of the lobby gasped he recognized her from the corporate newsletter, from the videos she sent to all employees during quarterly updates. He opened his mouth to speak, but was quickly silenced by a glare from the manager. "Nice try," the manager said coldly. "Ma'am, I'm asking you one last time to leave before we contact corporate security." Alicia slowly turned her eyes toward the intern, their gazes locked. He looked terrified for her and for himself. The weight of years of hard work, sacrifice, and leadership boiled quietly inside her chest, but she didn't flinch. She didn't shout. She didn't explain again. She simply sat down in a nearby chair, opened her briefcase, pulled out her phone, and began typing. In 5 minutes, everything would change. Alicia sat quietly in the customer waiting area. Around her, phones rang, papers shuffled, and lives moved on as if nothing had happened. But inside her, a storm was building. She had been profiled, dismissed, treated like an outsider at the very institution she had built with her own hands. But she didn't raise her voice. She didn't storm out. She didn't need to. Because true power doesn't shout, it acts. She opened her phone with steady hands and typed 3 emails. Each message was brief but direct. To legal, immediate compliance review, branch number 107, day protocol, include HR. To HR, send executive oversight and diversity enforcement officers ASAP. To compliance, pull last 12 months of misconduct reports and staff evaluations. Prioritize any flagged discrimination complaints. She added time-stamped photos of the branch, the staff, the manager, and even the security guard each image now part of official documentation. 5 minutes, that's all it took. Meanwhile, the branch manager whispered to the guard, watching her like she was some kind of threat. "I've got corporate on speed dial," he said smugly. "She'd be gone in no time." He still had no idea. Across the lobby, the young intern sat frozen at his desk. He knew who she was. He had seen her speak at a virtual summit just 3 months earlier. He remembered her words, "I'm not here to impress boardrooms. I'm here to open doors for the people they never invite inside." He wanted to say something, anything, but fear held him back until his inbox pinged. A company-wide alert appeared, "Urgent, Executive Day Audit, Branch Number 107, Compliance Team en route." "Do not obstruct," his jaw dropped. She wasn't bluffing. She was building a case right in front of them. And the reckoning was already on its way. The air grew thicker as minutes ticked by. Then, like clockwork, the branch doors opened again. 3 black SUVs pulled up outside. The engines didn't even cut off before the doors flung open. Out stepped 2 compliance officers, a senior HR executive, and a woman from legal affairs, faces tight, clipboards in hand, earpieces on. Every head in the bank turned. The branch manager stood up, confused. "Can I help you?" The woman from legal responded without a smile. "We're here for an unannounced day compliance audit. Effective immediately." He stammered, What's this about?" Alicia finally stood, calm as ever, and approached them. "She's the one who authorized it," one of the officers said, nodding toward her. The silence in the room was now deafening. The manager's face turned pale as realization finally settled in. He hadn't just misjudged her, he'd profiled, humiliated, and dismissed the CEO of the very institution that paid his salary. As the audit began, the compliance team pulled employee files, reviewed surveillance footage, and conducted quiet interviews. Within the first hour, they found 3 racial profiling complaints from customers, filed against this branch in the past year, none of which had been escalated. 2 minority employees denied internal promotions without documented justification, and 1 rejected transfer request from the young intern ignored by the same manager who dismissed Alicia. The intern was interviewed next. When asked if he'd been told to stay silent, his voice cracked. "I tried to tell them who she was. They wouldn't listen." Outside, media vans started to arrive. Word had leaked. It wasn't just about a mistake anymore. It was about a pattern. And in the middle of it all stood Alicia Morgan, not angry, just done being invisible. By the end of the day, the branch looked like a different place. The branch manager was placed on immediate suspension pending a full investigation. The security guard, visibly shaken, apologized directly to Alicia. But she didn't respond with bitterness. She simply said, "I accept your apology. Now make sure this never happens to anyone else." The HR team stayed late interviewing every employee. Voices that had been ignored for months finally spoke up quietly at first, then louder. For the first time, they felt seen, heard, protected. But Alicia didn't stay to watch the fallout. That was never her goal. She left the branch just as quietly as she came in, no cameras. No fanfare, just the quiet strength of a woman who had learned long ago that dignity is louder than outrage. The next day, a company-wide memo was sent to all Monarch employees. Leadership is not a title. It's how you treat the person you assume is less important. We are revising our Day A training, promotion reviews, and reporting systems across every branch. Let this serve as a reminder. When you fail to see someone, you might be ignoring the very person who built the ground you stand on. Dr. Alicia Morgan, CEO, the intern who had tried to speak up, he was offered a permanent role at headquarters and a mentorship under Alicia herself. That branch? It was transformed into Monarch's first Equity and Excellence Training Center, used to train future leaders on humility, awareness, and inclusion. As for Alicia, she didn't need recognition. She didn't need anyone to clap for her. But what she did leave behind was a legacy no one would ever forget. In a world where success doesn't always wear a name tag, and respect isn't always given freely, People like Alicia Morgan remind us that true leadership speaks through action, not permission. If this story moved you, made you think, or just gave you chills, imagine what's coming next. Hit that subscribe button because we're telling the stories others overlook, the powerful, the painful, and the unforgettable. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment that challenges how we see the world. This isn't just a channel, it's a movement. See you in the next story.